toddler might need a little bit of assistance. Okay, like me. So this is the man that you need to call if you're thinking about getting a dog or you have a dog who needs a little bit of work. You have to follow him on Instagram too. You can make him give out his handle and everything. But one of the best, and he came up from North Carolina actually to be with us today. He works here in Cleveland and in North Carolina. So give him a big round of applause and let these two take over.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Okay, so obviously like I'm not in a movie or anything like that, but can you guys hear me? Okay, I said obviously I'm not in a movie or anything like that, but I did want to come and just tell Drago's story. So Drago's a rescue. I rescued him literally right before COVID lockdown. He was scheduled to be euthanized in San Diego because of his, you didn't know?
I didn't know that.
Yes, because of his uncontrollable aggression. So we got a call. We got a call from the veterinarian that said this dog has bitten over 12 people, and the last 3 were his trainers. If you want him, he's free because owners paid over $8,500 for him, but they don't feel that he's trainable, so they don't want to charge you for a dog that they feel you're just going to have to euthanize when you get to Cleveland. So I had actually just finished wrapping up an event in New Orleans. So I had to work with a trainer that was in San Diego. He flew him to Cleveland. I met him in Cleveland, and the day we met, he was like trying to tear my face off. He was growling. He didn't want me to come near him, and he was just super fearful and untrusting. So I know COVID was a bad thing, but for our relationship, it actually worked out for the best. I was going through some stuff at the time, and because of lockdown, I wasn't able to leave the house. So I spent 6 weeks really rehabilitating him. It took about 3 weeks just to get him to the point where I could feed him and he wouldn't just lunge at me because he felt like it. It took another 2 weeks to get him not to lunge at other people when he felt like it. And then it was just about applying the training in real life to make sure that he's not gonna regress as soon as he sees another dog or a person with a stick or something like that. So it took maybe about 6 or 7 weeks before I was able to get him out and about. It wasn't a fear reaction type thing. So like, how do I work with this dog and how do I get this dog to the point where he won't eventually bite someone and have to be euthanized? So I decided to teach him a therapeutic technique, which is retrieval. It teaches him to channel his anxiety into whatever object he's holding. So right now he's holding a Frisbee. So if he gets like nervous or if something alarms him or he wants to react, he'll actually look at me to check in first. And if I don't tell him to react, he'll just bite down harder on the object that he's holding. Does that make sense? So because of that, I've been able to pretty much fully rehabilitate him. I can have him say hi to people. I can take him with me on planes. And he actually behaves better than most service dogs because of the training. Because of the training that he went through, and heavily because of the relationship that we bonded, the relationship that we formed while we were bonding in the beginning of COVID. Anybody have any questions about this story?
It's just like the movie. It's just like the movie.
It really is. My name is Dorian, so you can find me on online at Dorian the Dog Guy. I don't know who said that. He is a Black Russian Terrier. Drago. Okay, come here.
What are some of the common questions you get from people, like when they're trying to, train their own dogs, or like,
So a lot of the common questions I get is what to do when you first bring the dog home. My advice is always to put a leash on it. So a lot of people don't realize that dogs don't speak English when you first get them. It's like adopting a kid that speaks Spanish. If you don't hire a translator or use something to translate, then there's just a lot of guessing going on. And the dog starts to react to what you're doing as opposed to actually understanding what's going on. So when you put a leash on, you're able to communicate with them through physical touch and teach them English through consistency. But I'll tell people, until your dog is reliable off leash, you really don't want to take that leash off because you don't have a line of communication anymore. Okay?
How did you get into dog training?
So my mom over here, my mom has a puppy addiction. It's pretty severe. So growing up, she would get puppies. We would have them around like 6-7 months before they start to get into their destructive phases. But because my mom knew a lot about dog breeds, but not a lot about training, she would always invest significantly in these dogs, but we wouldn't really know what to do about the training. So we always tried different things, but 9 times out of 10 they became destructive, and we ended up rehoming them to other people, in the family. So over the years, because I was a very introverted kid, I kept trying to figure out techniques that would get the dogs to listen enough so that they could stay and pass, the mom test. So we repeated the cycle all the way up until I was about 17. And I worked with big dogs at that point, small dogs, everything. When I went to college, I realized that I can communicate with dogs better than I can communicate with people. So I tried college, I did about a year and a half, and I was like, yeah, I think I'd rather train dogs. So I literally got these paw prints tattooed on my wrist as like a commitment to myself that I was really gonna make this work and I was gonna find some way to provide for myself and my family through rehabilitating these dogs. Thank you. You guys want to see Drago do some stuff?
Yeah.
Drago, okay. Good boy. Okay, I know. Drago, heel. So one of the things that I taught him is to heel. So heel means just follow the heel of my left foot. When I'm walking, Drago.
Sorry, I distracted him. It was my fault.
Not the time. Now she's taunting you with the frisbee. Come on. Okay, Drago heel. Good boy. So heel means walk with your head at the heel of my left foot. Whenever this heel turns, you should automatically just follow. I shouldn't have to keep asking you to pay attention to him. You're pulling treats on my pocket or anything like that. I taught him to respond to his name instead of, clicking or, blowing kisses at him, stuff that I would want him to ignore if a stranger did it. Drago, sit. Good boy. Back up. Sit. Good boy. High five. Other one. You give me double. Good boy. Drago out. So clearly his spirit isn't like broken or anything like that, but the training was like super serious. With a dog this size lunging at you and biting at you, you can't really play with it. But I want people to know when you're rescuing a dog, it's really important to observe their personality. So even though it's hard to gauge how the dogs will react in your homes when you see them in the shelter, if you have a little bit of information on dog body language and stuff like that, you can tell which dogs are hyperactive versus which ones are more shy, and which ones are kind of going to come out of their shell when you get them home, and which ones aren't. And using that information, it makes it a lot easier to get a dog that matches your lifestyle and your personality, as opposed to just getting it because it was cute, and then 30 days down the road, it's chewing up stuff and it's barking, and you're like, the dog gotta go.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, ma'am.
We work together on rescue, so I just wanted you to talk about when these dogs come home, because I just had a situation happen with a mastiff, and I had to bring him back because the folks just threw him right into a situation. No leashes, 200-pound mastiffs, 3 in the house, and a fight broke out. Thank God nobody got hurt. But I want to talk about, is there a decompression time that you suggest? When do you integrate them in your pack? How does that work?
So I tell people, if you want dogs to behave more human-like, you have to provide that structure. If you have dogs reacting in a kind of like wild format in your house where they're running up to the door when the doorbell rings and stuff like that, there's not really a clear structure, so there's no clear disciplinarian. If there's no clear leader or clear disciplinarian, then the dogs are allowed to correct each other. So in that instance, if I had 3 dogs, I would at least need to have enough influence so that I can have all 3 of these dogs lie down and stay when I bring the new dog in. That first communicates to the 3 dogs that this dog isn't coming in trying to throw off our pack or anything like that, and no one has to immediately go over and bully him or dominate him just to get him into the house. That also disarms the new dog because it doesn't come in and get protective. Now, I don't believe in immediately integrating the dogs because it's just a lot. But if you take a day or two and you get the new dog to be able to lie down and stay, when you introduce them and have everyone lie down and stay for about 5 to 10 minutes, there's a silent conversation that the dogs have, and they say, oh, if we're in the same boat, there's no reason to fight over bones, there's no reason to fight over toys or anything like that, and then they're usually able to mingle with no problem. But if you skip that step and you just throw them in, they're immediately gonna find some reason to fight to try to prove who's stronger and who's weaker.
Big story.
Is that good?
No, it was good.
Okay. Any other questions? He is almost 3. He was 11 months when I rescued him.
I did hear someone worrying that when they everybody's seen this movie,
Mhm.
is going to now want a Belgian Malinois. But you shouldn't just go do something
Please
like
don't
that,
get
right?
Malinois. Please. So Malinois are like the velociraptor of dogs. Just so everybody.
Which you will see in the
please.
movie. You'll see this. You will see that in the movie.
Malinois are a terrifying breed, actually. They just took the German Shepherd and made it invincible, and took all of the normal stamina out and just replaced it with bags of energy. So I tell people, if you never sit down and you don't mind all of your furniture being destroyed for literally no